Hello everybody, it's me again with yet another tutorial. Now I am going to confess that I made a video the other morning in my pajamas about HSTs and information regarding the sampler so long with Rita's Roost. And things have changed. Information has changed. You can go ahead and look at Rita's live or review some of the previous videos. But essentially, you now have two block offerings. You have a basic block and you have a more advanced block. You can choose both. You can choose one, the other. You can mix it up. You can find a favorite block and make all 20 blocks the same. It's totally up to you. Very comfortable quilting. But what I am going to show you is how to make those 32 HSTs very simply for the Tree of Life block. Now, I will link the web page for a young lady who has a very good method of doing this. She has a guide, so you can utilize it for any number and size of HSTs that you need. So, what I am starting with is two 12-inch squares. Now, the pattern in Tree of Life calls for 10 inches. We are actually going to be using 12 inches, and that gives us a little playroom in our sewing. I'm going to set this one aside for a minute, and we are going to work on the back side of our background fabric or our light fabric, only because the pen lines will show up a lot easier. The first thing we're going to do is, and let me move some of this out of the way. The first thing we're going to do is mark our fabric. Okay. I have a little bit longer ruler. Because it's just going to help me cut that out of the way. Okay. We are going to find the middle of the block. So it's the 6-inch. 6 inches in, it's a 12-inch block, so the halfway point is 6 inch. We're going to align it with the horizon, the horizontal line, making certain that our vertical line is flush with our fabric. I am going to take a fabric pen, and truly you can use a child's Crayola marker if you don't have anything else. One of those washable markers works really, really well. I'm going to go ahead and make a line down the center. And I don't know if you can tell that, but this is in red ink. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side of the block, finding our 6-inch to center, aligning everything, and making another line. Now, what keeps me straight in my head, because sometimes when we're sewing, we have to get up, we get distracted, the dogs need to go out, the babies maybe need to be fed, your husband may need to be fed. So I am going to use a different color fabric marker, and this is going to be the sew line or our sewing guide. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to make a diagonal line going from one corner of the block to the bottom corner of the block, making certain that I am crossing over that intersection. So I'm making a line from the top to the bottom. Out one line, not quite crossed over. And I'm going to flip my fabric and I'm going to repeat the same thing. My lines may be a little crooked because I'm trying to look at it from an awkward angle for me, but I'm going to do the same thing, making certain that I cross over. Okay, so now I have a giant X and a plus sign. The blue that you can see, the darker line, is going to be my sewing guide. But we're not done. We're going to make a kite or a diamond within each segment of the block. So we're simply just going to draw another line. We're going to go from the right block, finding the top of that red line that we made, going down to the corner of that other red line. And we're going to make another blue line because, again, this is going to be a sewing guideline. I'm going to turn it, repeat the process on all 3 remaining sections. Turning it. And you want to stay as close to that center as possible. But all of you know that it does not matter how perfect or accurate you try to be, that sometimes those blocks just do not come out right when you sew it. So I'll set this aside, through with my pens. So now we have a block that looks like this. We have the blue lines that are my sewing reference lines, and the red line, which eventually be my cutting guidelines for our initial cuts to break this down to segments. So now I am going to put my opposite block or my dark colored block right sides facing together as even as possible. Put Now, some of you can just zip through this and not worry about it moving. But for this demonstration, we're just going to go ahead and put a pin somewhere in the middle of that red line that will not interfere when we are sewing on our reference line. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin these. And that way I don't have to worry about my fabric shifting or me getting distracted. And I know if I step away, I know exactly where I need to start off. So now that we've got this, now that we have this pinned together, right sides facing together, we are going to sew a 1/4 inch away from our blue line or our line that we are using as a reference line. 1/4 inch away, not sewing on the red lines, just the blue lines. So we are going to go to the sewing machine. And let me turn this around. Let's see if we can get this to stay. Switch that over just a little. So I am going to start sewing. Staying a 1/4 inch away. And I do use a leader and ender. It just helps save on thread. And I think I broke my automatic cutter, but I really don't like the loops that happens when you use the automatic cutter. It leaves this weird little loop. So I'm just going to go on the other side and going to do my half. You might notice I also have a seam guide on my sewing machine for when I make smaller HSTs. Now I am going to work on those diamond lines that we made. Again, staying on the and I like to work on the outside first and then turn it around and go do the inside, and it just saves a couple steps. So now I'm going to work my 1/4 inch on the other side. And final turn. Move you back to the cutting station. Get things out of the way. So here we have it. We have everything is sewn up. We have a 1/4 inch from all our blue lines, and I'm just making sure that everything has been sewn and I did not miss anything. At this point, you can take your pins in off or out because everything is sewn in place. Now what we're going to do is on those red lines that we originally made, we're going to line everything up. We are going to cut right down straight on the middle on that line. And then we are going to do exactly the same with each unit. So essentially now I am left with 4 6-inch squares. Let me get my small ruler. Now we are going to cut to make these into HSTs. We are going to cut along here and along here. So if we know that this is 6 inches, we know that's it's 6 inches. We are going to go 3 inches in, lining everything up on the horizon and vertically, horizontally and vertically. We're going to take a cut here and you can move it and try to straighten it up. We're going to do another 3-inch cut, just going on, lining everything up, making sure everything is together. And cutting it down. Then you're going to cut on that blue line because we want to separate that. Two, 3, and 4. You're going to repeat that with the remaining 3 units that you have. And when you open it up, there's your HST. There's your HST. You can see it. And you will have 32 of them because each section made 8 blocks. And you will have the 32 that you need for the tree of life. At this point, you would just cut it down, whatever method you use to get that final HST size that we need in the block. So there will be a little waste, but you will have a little bit more accuracy because you can judge how you're going to cut this down. When you cut it down, you're going to use your method of ruler. Some of you all have that block log, but you are just going to line it up on that diagonal line on your ruler, and you're going to cut it out, and you have more than enough space to make the required block size for the tree of life. Very, very easy, very simple. Again, I am going to link the young lady's webpage so that you can download a guide of your own, and pretty soon you will be sewing HSTs like a professional if you are not already. So have fun, enjoy yourself, be kind. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you all soon. Thank you.